Hi everybody, my name is Karen Brown and I am a member of the Whittlin Woodcarvers, and tonight I'm going to demonstrate to you how to do rocks in cottonwood bark. It's one of my things that I've learned how to do, and it's a pet peeve of mine when they're not done properly, and I have seen a lot of bark that's in shows that I just have to walk away because I can't look at it. It just drives me crazy. Rocks could take a long time to do. You have pieces like this on the chimney here. They come in varying sizes. They should have an undulation to them because they're not set flat. So, and in each individual rock where two or more meet should have a deep crevice between them. And I've learned how to do this by trial and error. And you can spend hours and days working on just rocks, where the pieces are very tight and you have a rock structure around here. We're going to be adding to this one by carving out separate rocks and putting them in here to give you actually more 3-dimension to it as well. So this is the one we're going to show you to work on today. We have the bottom rocks down here that we've got pretty well done, but the rocks up here, if you can see, are very flat. They have no undulation. They're very smooth across the top, and they're all the same level. It's almost like fake rock that they've just sliced off and everybody's the same height. So we're to get started on this, we're going to use our knives, our straight knife on this, and we're going to come in here, and where these two rocks meet, we're going to start coming in and creating the crater between them, because we need a nice deep spot. And just by poking the knife in, we'll take out the crevice between these. We could also, when we're carving out the knives, I use a V-gouge to start on them, and we'll show you that when we start taking these out as individual rocks. They really don't have any hard lines as far as straight lines on rocks unless they've been cut. So if you have brick or slate pieces, you can have flat edge on it, like stacked stone. That's a different type, but we're talking about field stone tonight. And when we work on bark, we do get a lot of chip out because bark is like a sheet of a ream of paper. It's very thin layers built up through it. So a lot of times, because it gets really dry and old, it'll chip out real easily. So we get really good with our super glue and our wood glue. It could save a rock that you blew off, and you can glue it back on, go work on another spot, and then come back a day later, and then you can rework it. Once these pieces, you can even see on this one, there's super glue in here because we blew out part of the frame. So it's something that's normal. The judging doesn't mind, and this one hasn't been varnished yet, so that's why you can still see it. I wanted you to be able to see that we do use super glue, but once it's varnished, it pretty much disappears into the carving itself. So we're going to try and knock off any little points that we see that are too straight, or make it look, see, we just knocked a rock off. But that's okay, because we need to undulate them anyway. And sometimes it's just like, oh, okay, that's a happy accident. We'll take that one. And that's the best part about working with bark, because if you may have a plan and it just kind of changes as it goes along, and you got enough wood to or bark to work on it, so you can actually go a lot deeper than what you think you can. And we like making the fantasy houses because they're really not a lot of straight edges to them. they come in different sizes, different shapes. You can add all kinds of different things to them. Okay, now that we've got the rock's depth put back in, I'm going to use the little flat gouge and I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to take off some of these edges, kind of round these over a little bit. And you put some divots in the face of the rock so that they're not smooth. Give them a little texture to them. So we get that nice little bit of texture to them. So when we're going to carve additional rocks to give us even more dimension to it, I'm going to do this in markers so it's easier for y'all to see. I'm just going to come up here and I'm just kind of just make some shapes. This is a V-gouge or a veiner. It's very tight so that the welt between them is very narrow. It's going to give me that edging that I need to start on this. I normally don't use it, my straight knife on them until I get the shape cut in with the V. It just allows me to come in here and work and cut around each one of the designs that I've laid in. And because it's a rock, it really doesn't have to follow what you drew unless you have a very specific spot that you want one. Cut it a little bigger because it may not make it, because it'll chip out for a variety of reasons. So you've always got a little more extra to play with. You can always carve it smaller, you just can't make it bigger again. I'm going to come in and go around each one of the rocks and make what we need is a stop cut so we don't cut back into the rock too much. I picked a nice soft piece. Makes it a little easier to work on, because some bark is really hard. I like to have kids start on bark if they're carving their first piece. It's a little forgiving, and it really, there aren't really too many mistakes you can make with it because you just keep carving and eventually everything will work out. So it's a good piece to learn on. I like to start ladies on carving bark because it's softer to carve than even basswood at most times. And we got our first little rock. Switch to my smaller knife, a little more detail. Now you're just going to play around with it and cut just enough off. So we've made a nice little rock, and then we'll come in and we're going to put it on this one. A little super glue on it. Then we'll take our little rock and we'll put him back on there. Right. There we go. Stay. And then we have freezer. This is Zip Kicker. It actually freezes super glue because we can't wait. We have no patience. Give that a few seconds and that'll set up. Now if you really wanted to, what we'll do is we'll put wood glue down first and then make sure that the piece has got enough contact with the wood glue, then put the super glue around the edge, and that will seal it and hold it in place until the wood glue dries. Wherever the wood glue is at will bond harder to the pieces of wood than the wood around it. So it's 90% it's not going to break off. So you can see that they're adding a little more dimension by putting those extra rocks on there to give you even more dimension. So if you wanted to make a cascade of rocks coming down, or you wanted to make stepping stones coming down, stone steps rather than just regular stairs that we cut in, these are make it a little more interesting to it. You can flatten them out, make them look like they've been cut, and actually build them up on top of your pieces each as you work. So yeah, this is one of the things I really like, is to be able to just come in and just look at a piece this way and going, oh, these are kind of all level. We need to change that. So we can come in with our flat knife and just take off a top of a couple of these rocks, get them lowered down where you want them. And it's going to give you more dimension and a better look to your piece. And the pieces will look more realistic. Usually I have a little toothbrush with me so I can scrub all the extra stuff out, but I left it over there. So we can carve out another little rock. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could take this on this extra piece on the bandsaw and just cut little blocks out and make them of varying sizes and then carve them individually. I just like to have the block to hang on to. It's a little easier for me to work. So you can slice them off, get a nice flat back on them, so it makes them a little easier to glue. And we'll put another one on. So you can see that they're adding more 3-dimension to the piece. You could even make it a whole stone archway if you wanted to. So it will even give more dimension to the piece by adding more pieces to it. It gives you another option for your rocks. I always say that if you're going to do rocks on here, why not make them look as real as possible? And putting a few extra pieces on will even give it a little more detail to it. So you can make them teeny tiny little ones and just stack them one all the way around, or you can make big boulders if you wanted to. And like I said, if you wanted to make stepping stones in the stairway, there's another option for you to work on pieces like this. So that's what I always keep a few extra pieces of scrap around that just are kind of plain. They don't have any zhuzh to them that I like, and I can't see anything into them. So these little scrap pieces I hang on to, run them on the bandsaw to cut off the outside bark, because this is the part that really dulls your knife the quickest, is to go through all of this with a regular knife. So I just like run them on the bandsaw, take it off. Now I'm down to the bark, and as you can see, all the layers in here, and it just makes it a lot easier to carve, keeps your knives sharper longer. And once I'm done, then we'll go ahead and varnish these pieces, and then they should last until we sell them. Do we have any questions? Depends on where it's from, the region it's from, as far as the coloration goes. And a lot of it will lighten up once it's exposed to the air, but I find that once you varnish it, it will come back to the dark red color. I like the thicker pieces, but you can't always get a hold of them. So this is one way that you can build up on a piece of thinner bark to give it more dimension. So you could always cut things out too.
Gel super glue, or
This is gel. Yeah, this is Super Glue's Gorilla Glue's gel. I like the gels. It gives a little more control to it, and you get it doesn't run. I don't stick myself together quite as often, and I do always carry unglue. So because I have students who have glued themselves together, I've glued things to me. So yeah, always carry a bottle of the unglue. Yeah, because super glue can be really nasty when you get stuck to yourself. So have a good evening, everybody. Thank you for watching. I know it was short, but.